Our next speaker is Securing RightPath, and we're going to have Chris McFearin come up and speak. So Chris McFearin is the Information Security Site Manager for the Office of the Associate Administrator for Information Management and Chief Information Officer, National Nuclear Security Administration, Department of Energy. And you put that all on a business card?
Yep.
Okay. I want to see that card. So please let's give a warm welcome to Chris.
Thank you. All right, so we got Mike. Okay, I don't have to yell. So I'm the cybersecurity guy, and the rest of my presentation is blank because I can't talk about any of this stuff. Just kidding. Travis, Anil, Bob have come up here and told you all about the exciting things that RightPath has to offer. And then they go in and save cybersecurity for last. I need to talk to whoever coordinated this because this is not the most interesting of conversations sometimes. But the way that I look at it and the excitement that I have, not just about what Bob and Travis and Anil are talking about, but the excitement that I have about the innovative technologies that cybersecurity will be able to leverage, I think are really something that will also help to transform what NNSA and DOE are trying to do. So without further ado, we'll go through just real quick kind of what the goals of the Cyber RightPath IPT are all about. We're looking to have an authorization approach that's across the enterprise. We're wanting to have a model that is write once, use many. We don't want to go through this plan creation process that Travis was alluding to where you go in and 6 months later you have a stack of paper that, what did that really secure? Except for some bad emotions towards your fellow coworkers sometimes going in and getting those documents reviewed. We want to coordinate the review of those artifacts across all of the enterprise. And what this allows us to be able to do is leverage a broader knowledge set to create an extensible authorization process and get buy-in from all of the stakeholders immediately so that we can move out and move forward quickly. We want to identify any gaps within the cyber policy up front, and we can't do that alone. We can't do it in a vacuum. We can't do it in that silo. And we want to coordinate those security strategies amongst everyone. If we can't do that, then we're going to fail at this from a cybersecurity perspective. So RightPath in and of itself is all of these great and awesome and amazing things. When Bob came out to Albuquerque, where I'm located, and talked about 2NV for the first time, I was jazzed. I cannot tell you how excited I was about all of this great thing that they were bringing to the government. Then, earlier this year, I was approached and was given an opportunity to excel, as we like to call them, and was asked to serve as the ISSM for RightPath. I looked at that and I remembered all the awesome things that Bob had talked about, and once they picked me up off the floor, I said, that sounds like it's going to be awesome. And I was excited because this is really the transformation for all of this. So the RightPath Integrated Project Team is a smaller group that has advisory members across all of the different IPTs. Cyber is a piece of every single one of those IPTs, and unfortunately, I can't be in every meeting all at the same time. And so that advisory group gets together, gathers information, and then brings it back to the collective for us to be able to digest, build our security policy around, and go in and move out and move forward. One of the problems with cybersecurity is that we're always trying to play catch up. There's innovation, we've got to figure out how to secure it. We run into this problem all the time with certifications, not CNA in and of itself, but FIPS certification, for example, always a couple of generations behind. And so what we need to do is leverage that extensible model that I was talking about to be able to go in and build a strong foundation in order to be able to adapt to those new and existing those new technologies that are coming out. That ensuring the tie-in to the overall RightPath, I'm going to mention this over and over and over again. That larger body of knowledge is really where cyber is going to be able to leverage its strengths, because you bring in all of these people that have all of this great technical knowledge. And because of the focus on cyber, I mean, you heard cyber in every single one of the presentations that we talked about today. Because of the focus on it, and because we are unified in that approach, it only helps to further make my job easier because there's no convincing of why we need to secure it. Everybody understands that commonality among the entire RightPath IPT members. So our approach to enterprise system authorization is focusing currently on the initial scope, which is the one NNSA network in your cloud. That's a pretty big scope right there. Interconnecting all of the NNSA sites and then moving out into others, a cloud out there to be able to go in and host different enclaves. All of that is amazing stuff and stuff that I'm really excited about, but it's very big. It's challenging because we need to create that extensible process. If we don't create a program that will allow us to rapidly change to different environments, we're going to fail. If we don't create something that is efficient and we don't create something that all of our partners agree to, we're also doomed to fail. And so that is the challenge that I have taken on and that I'm gladly stepping up to because I think that it's where we need to go. Going in and having a siloed approach to cybersecurity and everybody doing the same way is not efficient. Granted, we all have different missions within our departments. We all do different things on a daily basis, but there are commonalities that we can leverage and we can create an enterprise-level cybersecurity program. Currently, these are just some statuses that we have right now about where we're focusing. Risk assessments are a key deliverable in all of what we're doing right now because our risk-based framework for cybersecurity is how we're going to go in and focus these efficiencies to move forward the best that we can. So our scope, we try to coordinate anything and everything that we do. One of the things that we always run into is that with these different silos out there, if we don't get the right people involved, when we try to go in and march out with a new technology, we're instantly blocked because they don't know how we secured it. By having a high level of transparency across the cyber IPT, we ensure that everyone understands what we're doing. We make sure that everybody has the ability to weigh in and be able to provide feedback. And then at the very end, we invite peer reviews. I want people to poke holes in what I do. I have no level of pride against my work because my work is so crucial to the security of that enterprise. I want people to find problems because that just means that we're that much more secure. And by having that open forum, by having that collaboration be there, not only within NNSA but also within DOE, we're only further bolstering to ensure that we're meeting all of those requirements. The gaps in cybersecurity are always going to be there. The threat only gets bigger. We're always in a defensive mode, but with some of the new technologies that Anil was talking about, we can start moving to being more proactive than reactive. One of the ways that we're going in and identifying these gaps is by using a risk-based model, and this is going in and leveraging the capabilities within JC3, within the cybersecurity labs, to go in and identify those threats early on across the enterprise and then down into the different workload levels in order to be able to levy the proper security controls at the right time and be able to provide the right level of security. With cloud computing, mobility, and enterprise wireless coming on, there's a myriad of different problems that we have to solve from a security perspective. But by going in and focusing on those core processes and policies, you build a foundation that you could then leverage many, many times over. There are differences, obviously, within those technology stacks, but if you have the core, you can build on and move on from there. Gaps, they're going to happen, but we have to enable technologies. I can't be the no guy anymore. I mean, I always joke around that I bring my own little rain cloud with me wherever I walk into a building. You know, I walk into a meeting, they're like, oh, great, Chris is here. Because I'm like, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And they're like, oh, you know what? We didn't think about that. So I guess it's a no. And I said, no, not at all. What I'm here for is that we're going to talk about how we're going to be able to move past those. Right controls, identify the gaps, identify the risks, establish that threshold, and then let's move on to innovate. We can't go in and do this anymore where we say, oh, well, it's secure, so we can't, or it's not secure, so we can't do it. One of the things that I always liken this back to is that I'm a consumer of technology. I'm a geek, I admit it, and it's like some self-help group or something like that, but I love technology, but I'm a cyber guy, so I'm scared to death of technology. And so it's this conflict that I go back and forth with. My kids I'm really sorry, but I mean, their computer's locked down. They can't go to any websites. I mean, there's like firewalls on there. He's talking about this like separate VLANs and everything. I mean, I don't even talk to their other PCs because my kids. But anyway, I love technology, but I'm scared to death of it. And that type of paranoia, and arguably, is it paranoia if they're really out to get you? So that level, I think, brings a new dynamic into new technology because we have to be able to enable it. That vForce 21, that excites me because you're being able to provide the work anywhere at any time. So coordinating security strategies, this is critical. I can't even go into how critical this is to coordinate these security strategies. Whether it be talking about authorization, hardening, monitoring, security architecture, all of those have to be coordinated, not only within the different IPTs, but across the enterprise in and of itself. This goes back to that core foundational piece that I was talking about. The security architecture right now that we're outlining based on what Anil and Architecture IPT is putting together is going in and leveraging state-of-the-art technologies to monitor and identify things that are happening within the networks. We have to be able to have that single pane of glass view, not just from a monitoring perspective from Green IT, but also from a cyber perspective. And so the JC3 NOC and SOC capabilities are really going to be some of those key areas where we will leverage this across the greater enterprise. We've also talked about going in and even providing core level security services coming out of your cloud. We go in and we utilize the different compliance measures, whether they're coming out of NIST, whether they're coming out of FedRAMP, all of those being built into our current processes to go in and build up security models that people can then go in and leverage. Because once again, one of the whole tenets of RightPath is in order to go in and gain efficiencies within cost. If you don't have to establish a security control because somebody else is already providing it for you, then right there is a cost savings and an efficiency savings. That is what we're doing within the Your Cloud environment and within One NSA to build that in from the very beginning. And the coordination of those security strategies spans the NNSA and the OCIO's office all the way through the gamut. We have multiple people within the IPTs across all of the labs and plants leveraging a huge knowledge base of people to be able to go in and pull those different security strategies out, to be able to leverage lessons learned. Because the way that I do things may not be the best way to do things. And so, once again, poke holes in the way that I think that I'm going to be doing things so that we can go in and we can move forward. Risk management. The first time that I heard about risk management, it was, oh gosh, I can't even remember how long ago it was. And I was thinking about, well, what exactly is risk management? How exactly do you manage risk? And that's really saying, do I accept it or do I not accept it or do I give it to somebody else? I'm all for giving it to somebody else, but hey, that's just getting me out of having to write a whole bunch of stuff. But when we focus on tailoring based on the risk, you go in and gain the highest efficiencies in the most secure way possible. Going in and just saying, well, NIST has 800-53 that has like 570 something controls. So let's just put them across everything because they say to, and then let's just call it good. And we know that we can be secure. But I can tell you right now that the way that the RightPath Cyber IPT has put things together, we are going a step further and we are focusing on the threats and risks in order to create protection strategies that are specific to the enterprise risks. And what that allows us to be able to do is to create that extensible model that I was talking about that still allows us to remain compliant with all the federal regulations that come out and also leverages a capability which I think that is very, very innovative, that it can adapt to new security models or new federal compliance mandates that come out at any time. By focusing on the risk, by focusing on the threats, we go in and say, this is what we need to do, not based on whatever NIST says, using them as a model, but then going in and looking at our environment specifically. And when we focus on things like that, we can go in and we can create those higher level efficiencies by leveraging those protection strategies. We also look to improve security through focus mitigations. If I go in and focus on those 500 some odd different controls or the 279 within FedRAMP, I'm going in and I'm focusing only on those. Are they mitigating my risks? Maybe. Are they doing as well as they could? Possibly. But by focusing on the risk and by focusing on where to target those mitigations, I go in and only am able to increase my security posture rather than going in and trying to spread myself too thin. And lastly, reducing costs through common controls. By going in and building those common controls in from the ground up within your cloud, within one NSA, what you are able to do is leverage that same control across multiple agencies, across multiple enclaves, and start benefiting from that economy of scale. Now, I can't tell you how difficult it is to go in and look at a common control and say to myself, well, I do it one way, and I don't trust the way that it's being done over there. So if I don't trust the way that it's being done over there, I need to go there and I need to find out how they're doing it. And so by building that extensible program that I was discussing and about getting everybody's buy-in from the very beginning to where they understand how we're doing things, we go in and mitigate that particular problem because everybody understands it, everybody was privy to it, everybody was part of developing it, and everybody understands it. And then once we get to that level, then we can start disseminating it out to the masses. Communications is key. One of the problems is you know, in being a geek, communications can sometimes be a little challenging to me. I get up here and I'm like, you know, I'm geeking out about all the stuff that Anil's talking about and Travis is talking about, and then I go to brief my management on everything that's going on, and then the glazed look comes over my face, over their face, and I'm like, well, I guess I probably use too many acronyms, I use too many technologies. We're gonna do stuff and it's gonna be secure, we're good to go. That's the high level, that's the single slide piece of this. So communication is critical though to being able to making sure that everybody's on that same page. It all goes back to that coordination model that I was talking about. We go through and do weekly meetings, we do weekly status updates, we do collaboration visits. We've got all of our advisory members within the different agencies and also within FedRAMP to go in and ensure that we know what's happening on the forefront. One of the last things that we want to have is to be blindsided by some mandate coming in and saying, hey, oh yeah, you're going to the cloud, you also have to do all these things too. That's the last thing that we want to have happen. And by having all of that advisory group, by having everybody come together, and also within our advisory capacity within the other IPTs, we stay on top of everything to match the pace of this innovative technology. Because once again, cyber can't be the roadblock. We have to be the enabler. And the only way that we can do that is by going in and consuming that information at the same or even a faster rate as the rest of the people. So our next steps, really, I mean, this goes in and kind of gives you a notional timeline about what we've been talking about all through this. Focusing again initially on our scope within the Your Cloud, the initial operating capabilities by September, and then going in and looking through all of these different types of technologies in order to be able to leverage what's coming after that. Now, I haven't talked about every piece of the cybersecurity portion of it because obviously I can't go into extreme detail about everything that we're doing. But really the core tenets of all of this are us to be able to create that extensible model that can be leveraged across multiple platforms, that can be leveraged across multiple agencies, across multiple technologies, that builds on those same people, processes, and technology that Travis, Anil, and Bob had talked about, to where we are enabling that group to do what they need to do securely and safely, and also be good stewards of the information that is within the Department of Energy and the NNSA. So with that, thank you very much, and I'll open it up for questions.